All right, Foti, welcome along, mate. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. We've got Foti here today. I'm really excited to share some of his experiences and share kind of some of the conversations that he and I've had in the past. So Foti's the VP of Growth at Euro VPS. He's also the co-founder of the founder of Growth Mentor. He graduated with a degree in finance from Cass University in London in 2007, but super quickly pivoted into a digital marketing a year later as the first non-engineering hire at the managed services provider Euro VPS, which I know we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about today. But Foti, man, thank you so much for jumping on the call today.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, sweet. So what I usually like to try and do is just kind of, obviously I'll give you a quick introduction there, but yeah, walk us through Euro VPS. What's that all about?
So EuroVPS is a managed hosting provider. As you can tell from the name, we sell VPS. That's kind of the primary product. My older brother founded it back in 2004. He's a system administrator, computer science guy, one of the best sysadmins I've ever met in my life, probably the best. Yeah, I mean, I joined a little bit actually while I was still in university. I was working for EuroVPS, but not in a marketing role. I would fly to the data center, which was in Amsterdam. I was studying in London, and I would help out installing servers and stuff, and kind of doing the we call them data center monkey jobs.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I finished uni in London with a finance degree, and like I don't know if you remember back then, but we had the crazy Lehman Brothers thing and all that. So there was no way in hell I was gonna get a job in finance that time. So my bro was like, dude, EuroVPS is growing, like it's doing good. We back then, just for the record, like there was no DigitalOcean, there was no Linode. I mean, Linode was there. I think we were at the same time, but it was like 4 or 5 VPS providers in like big, like ones that people were name recognizable, like in the world. I would think that we could say that they're our competitors. It was Servant, and like this is just a couple, very few. So we were growing pretty quick back then without doing any sales or marketing or anything. It was just like the nature of the beast, right? Like people wanted to get a VPS because it was better than shared hosting, but it was cheaper than dedicated servers, and they could get root privileges and install, any application they wanted on it. And it was the golden days. So I was looking at that and I was like, all right, be an employee and do finance crap for the rest of my life, or join this rocket ship and have free reins to do anything I want in terms of marketing, because my brother didn't want to deal with that anymore. So that wasn't really a difficult choice to make.
Yeah, for sure.
So
It's
that's
actually
how I got involved.
It's actually interesting. Not many people know this about me, but my first kind of employment in an office job was actually with a cloud hosting provider way back at similar-ish time to when you're talking about it. Yeah, it was an interesting space to be in, and I do remember going out to the data center, having to plug in the servers and looking over and going, oh,
the sound, right? Like, remember that?
And I loved getting, this is a total tangent, but I loved getting the tour, and they'd go like, and that room is full of batteries that will last us for 30 seconds if shit hits the fan. So yeah, and you're just like, how on earth is that much battery power only going to last 30 seconds? And then the diesel generators keep going, whatever it was. But yeah, those were some fun days. But yeah, so you're a VPS. I mean, you've grown that pretty far, and from what I understand, it's obviously like there weren't that many providers. There's a lot now, but like
now it's insane.
How do you stand out from the crowd? How do you take such a commoditized product? It wasn't necessarily commoditized then, but these days it's commoditized to the nth degree. How do you take a product that everyone thinks they know and everyone thinks is completely commoditized? How do you still grow that?
One word: support.
Right. Okay. So head of VP or VP of growth, do you handle support as well, or is that someone else?
Oh yeah, I do support as well. I have an RATE. I'm Red Hat certified, so I'll jump in here and there. But I'm admit very rusty on my sysadmin skills. But generally though, I get involved with that, and it's our biggest differentiator. Like when I started doing marketing, like I didn't know Linux at all, right? But like to understand the customers and the buyer persona and all that, like I had to learn. Like I went to a school, I studied it, and so on, so I could get involved with the customers to truly understand them. And like we don't really sell hosting, really. We just sell peace of mind and not having downtime and fast websites. Like that's the way I kind of view it. Like in the sense, what is the job to be done kind of the customer, and like how can we give them what they want? Like don't think about your product as a product. Like what are they using it for? Like what do they want to become by using it? And our people, they just didn't want downtime anymore, and they wanted, like, when something did go wrong, because something always goes wrong, these are machines at the end of the day and they fail, to be able to have like an honest sort of communication, be like, make a ticket, super fast answer, and for somebody to say, hey, yeah, we're working on it, it's completely fucked up right now, but we're going to fix it, and just don't worry about it, we'll update you like every 10 minutes kind of thing, right? Have that sort of human connection, because that's what's missing in the market, because a lot of these companies, our competitors, are outsourcing the support for the margins. And we kind of noticed that a lot of people were doing that, and we're like, all right, that's an opportunity. Like for us, the opportunity was the fact that most people are dissatisfied with other providers. So when we realized that, we're like, oh shit, well, what are they really pissed off about? And it's the support. It's really dodgy, and like the downtime and all that. So beyond the support, obviously you have to have technical superiority and operational excellence, right? Like that's one of the key things. You have to have a really good product. But how do you differentiate? Because anybody can do that, right? Like build are really good. Anyone can install VMware and get an OpenStack set up, and get good HP ProLiant servers, build out the redundancies that they have to, and say, yeah, okay, 99.99% uptime. Actually, scratch that, 100% uptime. And the fastest in the world. Like you see these hosting sites, and it's like the fastest, this, that. Everyone says the same thing. So how do you compete when everyone's saying the exact same thing? And that was the big challenge that we had to kind of overcome.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys, you're selling the support. You're selling the we're going to be here to hold
interaction. Like come to us, and we'll if you don't need a VPS with 8 gigs of RAM, we'll tell you and be like, look, go get this. It's 4 gigs of RAM. You're only, you haven't even touched swap memory yet. Like you're not, maybe you're using Apache. You could just switch to Nginx web server, and you could reduce your memory usage by 70%. You do things like that, and they never cancel. So for us, our growth is the customer retention.
How do you sell that though? How do you sell that? Because like I'm imagining that there's a lot of I don't know the price points, the Euro VPS price points, but I'm imagining they're not in kind of 4 or 5 figures. I'm imagining it's kind of lower price points. So you can't actually have a person kind of cold calling and sitting on the phone with someone. So how do you communicate your differentiation? How do you communicate that through a website, through your email, through your ads, how do you communicate the difference?
That's a great question. And the answer is using their own words. So I survey my customers and I ask them the right questions, and then I just take their own words, what they like about us and what they don't like about us, and why they even chose us in the first place over the competitors. And I use those snippets, I polish them up a bit, and I make them my H1 headline. I make them the copy in my emails, and I put them all over the website. So if you look at eurovps.com website and you read any of the pages, all of that copy has been inspired for mountains of qualitative feedback that we've gotten from the customers.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you're constantly talking to your customers. You're constantly seeing how
feedback loop. We've got a feedback after every ticket that they close, and we process thousands of tickets a month. There's a questionnaire, and it's like post-ticket survey feedback. It's a type form. They fill it in. We use Zapier. It pushes it into a Google Sheet, pushes it to a Slack channel, and we've got somebody dedicated to following up after every post-ticket survey. If, for example, the satisfaction is less than a 5, then somebody manually gets involved and checks it out, right?
Yeah, sweet. Okay, so that's how you start selling support. That once you get, because you also said something really interesting before. I think I cut you off, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But it was our growth is retention, which is really interesting, because using what you just described there. Like there's a bunch of cool things. One thing I love talking about you is you always have automation. You talk in automation, which is like the
Mhm.
Zapier link and all of that, and then a person reaching out to make sure people aren't churning, to really hit early days, to make sure people aren't churning and aren't leaving. Funny, so yeah, really interesting what you kind of went through there. But a lot of the people I deal with, a lot of the people in the group, they're more on high ticket sales end of things than necessarily kind of the scale play, which I know where you guys play. How do you make sure you're communicating things like what's on the website and communicating that qualitative research in a sales conversation?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is to just really ask them questions and to care about their situation. Like I'm reading this book by Dale Carnegie, like how to influence friends and how to influence people and make friends, right? And like one of his points is like people want to feel important. So if you
Yeah,
can make them feel important and like that you actually care about their situation, you're not just trying to sell them, they will instantly like you and want to be around you and get that. They'll just get attached to you versus somebody else. So like, but you can't do it just to like, as an NLP sort of trick or anything. You have to actually mean it. So like for us, we do things at scale, but we also have certain clients that pay six figures a year, like huge managed clusters where they get their own racks. And how did we score those clients? By really wowing them with value upfront on the sales call, so that anyone else they would go to afterwards, they'd be like scared in a sense to trust their data with them because they know what else is out there. They know that we're there, right? Like when my brother goes on a sales call, because he's, as I mentioned earlier, like an insanely talented sysadmin, like he will knock their, like they're to be left speechless basically after listening to him go through their situation, say, well, you're going to do it like this. Actually, that there's another way that you can do it like this and save someone, like really give value on the sales call. Like you have to give them that taste, because if you're selling something that's a high ticket a product or service or something, like that's a lot of money. You have to empathize with them and be like, think about it. Like you expect them to dish out that amount of money. Like what would you want to hear if you were in their shoes, that would make you feel like, all right, I really like I have to go with them now, like that there's no choice. And ultimately that comes with maybe giving a little bit more value than you would have than you're comfortable doing. So like push that barrier of comfort where you're like, all right, I've given enough. No, you need to give more, give a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, what I love about that, and I think a lot of the people listening to this will relate, that they're technically skilled. There's a lot of software development agencies that are technically skilled. I mean, even marketing agencies, they're skilled in the technical way. How do you do marketing? How do you write copy? How do you run an IT team? And I think kind of just to really tease out what you were saying there, it's you need to be more skilled in bringing ideas to the conversation that the other side just can't do on their own.
Yeah.
But I think there's also how do you transition that? Because I've seen many times in a sales conversation, someone who's highly technical really struggles to transition from solving a problem to, okay, now give me money. How did you guys find that? I mean, especially your brother, because he's a great sysadmin, and I'm sure that sales was not a natural skill for him.
Oh, he's actually one of the, he's very, very good at sales.
Ah, no, that ruins my whole question.
He's a unicorn.
Oh, mate, what a talented man. I wish we were all that talented then. That sounds awesome and great person to go into business with. So,
But I get where you're going with this. And basically, like, what if you're really good technically, but you're not like really good on the telephone and kind of like you're not that sort of
exactly.
charmer on the call, right? Like getting them to like pull the wallet out. And what I would suggest in cases like that is the PDF, like the proposal. Instead of making it like a sales, like your typical sales proposal, where you're gonna have, this is what you get, here's our bullet points with the features and make it more in the sense of an audit, or like go long form. Like if you're someone who really knows his shit, right? Like I'm really good at SEO and I can make an audit that's like 5 pages in like 35 minutes. And I just know it, right? Like that's just me. And like my brother, right? He can make a 3-page report on like a very complex hosting architecture in like 35 minutes. Do that, go above and beyond, and like speed write it in the beginning, and then cut it down and edit it as you want. But like really show them that you understand that you are technically proficient, right? Because there's so many, think about it, right? There's how many other people are out there offering the same thing as you, right? And a lot of them are frauds. Maybe they've got a couple of Upwork freelancers that they've got below them, and they're just, reselling. People like this exist. I see it, so
all the time.
If you can show them upfront that you're the real deal, I mean, that goes a long way, and it's not really that much effort more. Just be honest. Like, you're going to make a sales proposal. I use PandaDoc, right, for my proposal because it looks beautiful and it's easy. Like, if you use something and you make it look really nice and professional, fit and finish, and it's super long and it gives a lot of value, like, it's very difficult to kind of say no to that if you've got the budget for it. Obviously, if you don't have the budget and so on and so forth, like, yeah, okay, you'll pass.
But you shouldn't be sending proposals to people who don't have budget.
Exactly. That's whole other topic.
Yeah, that's a sales no.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm actually a big believer in don't send proposals at all. What you're describing there is interesting, because there's a few people in the group who are thinking about this and thinking about how do we create a USP up front. I normally would tell people actually charge for what you just described, but make it super low ticket. Make it like $100.
I'm kind of on the fence with this one here, because I've seen it work both ways. Like there were times when it was like very, we want to get them, really big deal, like, 10 grand a month type deal, right? And it's like we just felt like we had to push it and give that. But I really feel like even if we didn't do that, we still could have got the deal. So I don't know. I mean, there's so many times when we've given these big proposals, not we, like my older brother, he spends so much time on it. And I'm like, dude, that's too much. Like this, what you just made right now, we could charge $1,000 for that as an audit, right? Like save that, maybe cut a bit and give like 10% of what you've given and said, hey, by the way, we can give you this audit for like an extra $100 or something, right, on top, just to make that quick, like early transaction, so that they can get used to the habit of like doing business with you, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen what you describe. Interesting idea that kind of, I don't know if I've had this idea before or described with anyone before, but it might be interesting. What are your thoughts on having, so rather than sales conversation to proposal to close call, which I don't believe in, but I hadn't thought about this one. I'd like your thoughts. Rather than that, what about sales conversation, present a proposal, present a generic plan in the conversation, and a fast action bonus? You pay your deposit today, obviously fully refundable, 30-day happiness guarantee. Pay your deposit today and we'll throw the audit in for free. What are your thoughts on that? How do you think that would go?
When I was talking about the proposal before, it was first sales call and then proposal. But in this case over here, what you're saying, let me try and get this straight. You're saying do the demo call, hint at the solution that you're offering, a little bit more generic versus like in depth, like an hour call, and then say, hey, pay for this up front, this audit. I think that's good. I mean, I would like to experiment with something. I've never really tried that, charging for the service, because usually we include everything into the package. We don't really break it like that, but I think it could work for other type of industries for sure that aren't like really like infrastructure heavy, because we're infrastructure, right, as a service. But
yeah, for
like
sure.
Service providers, right, that are maybe giving their services as a consultancy basis, I think giving a small like taster is a really good tactic to kind of get them to upsell to the big plan. I mean, there's always the steak dinner at the end, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's just an interesting one, because I know a lot of service providers really struggle with, like, you don't know me, here's our first call, our first conversation, now give me some money. They really struggle with that whole part of the conversation. But kind of what you're describing of having an audit, having something to go through.
Something that doesn't take that long, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the core. That's the hardest bit. Like I know something this in my own.
Loads of value, but doesn't take that long. Like, what is that? I think that's that crystal that if you can find that thing that you can do, that's why I was saying, like with me, I do my sale, I can do it in 35 minutes before we can give you something that you'd probably pay $500 for somewhere else. Right? I'd be like, I just can do it. You know, everyone, like not everyone, but some people have that skill. What is it? What is it in you that you do?
I've recently tried, like literally this week with a consulting client that I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
I've sent them like, I do a buying persona audit. So talk to your customers, work out who they are, and then put it into a report. And it's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. But what I've tried this week is just take someone else's report I've built, make it entirely generic, and remove anything that's identifiable, and say like, this is what the output would look like.
I like it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to work. I'll be honest. I tried it this week for the first time because they just needed something. I got a close call with them on Tuesday, but they asked me for like a mad in-depth proposal. And I just said no, because I'm not spending a day building something that you're going to look at for 5 minutes and make a buying decision. I'll send you generic stuff. It took me 5 minutes to remove the client's name and remove the customizable, remove the stuff that talks about them, and make it super generic so they can see what the output looks like. I'm curious. I'll let you know. I'll report back on how that goes. But I'm loving the idea of something tangible that they can actually do something with. Costs you nothing, costs you 35 minutes at the most. And then you can turn around and you can kind of, at the end of the conversation, they could go off and actually use this somewhere else, or they could just buy with you because they already trust you. That's a way to build trust in a service business, in a really highly competitive marketplace like what you're describing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best way to build. I mean, I'm seeing this with Growth Mentor, by the way. Like, people are just giving value up front and they're winning the trust, and then so many of the mentors are being able to go out and get other sort of, like, it's not what it's for, but it's just an example of giving first and giving that value up front and winning the trust.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you, because we talked about Euro VPS a little bit, why don't you run us through what's Growth Mentor, how does it work? And obviously I'm a mentor on there, so I'm probably asking that from an odd perspective. But yeah, someone who's never heard of it, what's Growth Mentor?
Yeah, so Growth Mentor is a platform I built to scratch my own itch for more conversations with badass people in growth and sales and marketing, like yourself, for example. Because as a solo head of growth type guy with maybe some freelance minions here and there, like I didn't really have anyone to bounce ideas at a high level on some of the stuff I was doing. So I mean, I was running campaigns, and some of them were pretty expensive campaigns where, like, if I made a mistake, I would lose 20 grand. It's like, shit, you know, like, nervous. It's like, who can I talk to about this? I don't want to fuck up, right?
Yeah.
And like, what I would do is, instead of hiring consultants for like $200 an hour or something, I would go on Upwork and just like post job postings to talk to people on Skype instead of them doing the thing. And that's how kind of I was getting that those chats with people, because I wanted to talk with the like actual doers, the practitioners, versus the agencies or the high price consultants, right? Because, like, you know, I'm also like I'm a practitioner, so being able to exchange thoughts with other peers that are doing the same exact thing, for me was like super valuable. I learned so much more by just having another 30-minute call with a badass Facebook ads guy than by taking a 2-day course. You know,
yeah, it's interesting because, like, strategy matters. There is a place for the high price consultants, and the strategy matters, but you only need a strategy conversation like once every 6 months, maybe less. Whereas tactical, like, just another set of eyes on something. Hey, this is what I'm thinking, and this is exactly how I've laid it out. Help. That tactical element. I mean, we don't get that as freelancers, as people who run our own businesses. We don't really get that. Whereas, like, someone in enterprise, in like a big 4 accounting firm, how many different accounting departments and accounting teams are they going to have where the managers can just go and cross-check?
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas, like, if you're a freelance, I don't know why I went with accounting as the metaphor there, but whatever. If you're a freelance accountant, it's like you don't have anyone to talk to. Really should have gone with growth as the example there. Sorry about that one. That's kind of weird. But yeah, if you're like freelance, you don't really have that. So that's a really interesting way. I love how you talk about it. Yes, there's the strategy, and the conversations I've had sometimes a strategy as a mentor on there, but they rarely are. They're more, I mean, one example was, how do I just help me with HubSpot dashboards? What can I put on there? How do I present this data in a good way? that's such a tactical conversation. It's not which data to present. It's not like I need to know my average revenue per subscriber or something like that. It's not the strategy conversation. It's literally, okay, these are the 5 data points I want, and I want to be able to pull them out. How? Help. And that's what Growth Mentor, and that's what, yeah, I really love that. I really love that you built it. I love that it exists. I also love the price point because it's at a number where it's high enough that no one's just going to go, but it's low enough that in the same way this community, it's low enough no one's turned off by the price.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's yeah. Walk us through what's the structure? I don't even know if you have an offer for this call, but feel free to give it a super quick plug.
Yeah. So Growth Mentor costs $150 a quarter, so $50 a month. And with that, you get access to book unlimited free calls with all the mentors who are offering their time for free, access to the Slack community, and then also like this new thing that we're trying, this like weekly Zoom growth team thing. But basically, like the meat and potatoes is booking calls with the mentors, right? That are offering their time for free. And I get this question a lot, like, why the hell are all these people offering their time for free? Like, time is money, right? It's like, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, it also feels pretty damn good to help someone and then basically be reminded that you're really good at your job. It's a kind of an ego thing.
It's such an ego thing. There's an element of that. There's definitely an element
of that. But all beyond that, there's also the intrinsic benefits of like helping. It does feel good to help. Like when I see the, oh my God, you saved me, and I see the reviews, and it feels good, man. Like it does. And like,
I can answer that one as well. There's also the side of like, yeah, I do a lot of strategy, I do a lot of tactical, but like I want to see how other people are doing this. Even if I know I can do it better, like I want to see what are people who are in the trenches who have no preconceptions. They come into this whole sales thing and don't know how it works. They don't know the frameworks and the theory behind it. So they're going to have really obscure ideas. I totally have stolen ideas from Growth Mentor sessions and have tried them out 100%. And I'm the mentor in this conversation. I'm 100% trying it out. Some of them, oh man, they failed. Some of them did really well. So like it's just that's selfishly I come into that. But it's I do love being a mentor on there. You get some weird people and you get some awesome conversations.
Yeah. It's like Forrest Gump, right? You never know what you're gonna get. Lots of chocolates, right? It's like every guy that comes, like different situation and so on. But there's some. Just want to mention like the people that are on there, like they're really badass, like people in growth that have like.
Oh, there's some heavy hitters. I mean, I've been a mentee on there a few times as well, and I spoke to a VC who runs a massive portfolio. I spoke to, and that conversation, I was sanity checking whether a social media marketing agency I was about to go with was too cheap and couldn't deliver. That was the whole reason I did it. Super quick conversation. Damn, that was a good conversation I had with her. And that was Alicia, if anyone's on there. Alicia's a weapon. I need to reach out to her again. But yeah, like there's some great conversations to have. Anyway, that was a really random tangent into plugging Growth Mentors. Not the point of this call at all.
Yeah, no.
Let's maybe swing this back. So I know you also do, obviously you're a VPS, you've got to get the traffic. You've got to get people to like the super competitive market space. And there's no way you get the budgets of some of your competitors. So how do you get the traffic? How do you make sure people know about you? How do you drive that traffic?
For us, it's SEO primarily. So we rank for Europe VPS hosting position number 1, and we have historically for like as long as we existed, right? So that's our niche, right? Someone's going to wake up in the morning and be like, I want a VPS, but I want to make sure that it's in Europe. Maybe he's an American who wants to move his service to Europe because he doesn't like the Patriot Act, the NSA, and all that other, American stuff. So he's like, I want to move my stuff to Europe. Maybe a European is searching because he wants low latency because most of his visitors are in Europe. So we own kind of that niche. And I think that is just an example of how important it is to have something like that to differentiate. Maybe it's because like you've got your head term keyword, which is VPS hosting or managed VPS, and then you need a modifier, right? What's your modifier that differentiates you from everything else? And how can you translate that into SEO, into a keyword research. Maybe your modifier is speed, fast. Maybe hopefully it's not cheap. But,
No.
yeah, but like maybe it's there's myriad of different modifiers that you use. But like once you realize what that is, it makes SEO so much easier, especially if you're lucky enough for that modifier to have some good buying intent behind it and a decent enough volume to be able to carry at least a couple of conversions for you every single month consistently, right? So beyond that, one tip for SEO is make sure that you have links and that you're building those links properly. And one thing which is kind of a gray hat thing, but I'm going to mention it, is the topic of buying backlinks. So because I'm in a very competitive space, I'm competing against some players who have millions of dollars in budget for SEO and so on and so forth. And I have Ahrefs, which is a SEO tool, which you can kind of investigate the backlink profile and landscape of different competitors. And because I'm looking at the big boys doing this stuff, I'm looking at like GoDaddy, like all these different companies, they're buying links. Like you can find these things. Like there's this one competitor, I don't want to out their name, but
let's not get sued.
Yeah, but like it's a UK VPS provider. You run them through Ahrefs, and they've got 350 unique referring domains linking to them. And if you export those and you look at them, it's like clearly like these sort of blogs which are run by this, it's just like the clearly
little bit gray black hat.
It's like links
not legit,
right?
Yep.
But it works. Like it's clearly working for them. They're ranking #1 for cloud hosting, #1 for reseller hosting, shared hosting in the UK. And my part of my head's like, but Neil Patel said no, it doesn't work. And all these guys are like, no, but don't do. But then I'm looking at this, and my eyes are telling me something else. Like, look at this is clearly what they're doing, and it's working. So how do you reconcile those two? And for me, like I trust what my eyes tell me. Like if I can see that something's working and I'm reverse engineering a strategy, then if I see with my eyes, it's there, right? Like I trust my eyes to see things more than my ears to see things. And I think that's something that a lot of people make a mistake on. They listen to things and they just assume that it's true because an authority figure told them something.
Yeah.
But you have to do the reverse engineering and see what's working. The same applies with sales templates and all these different things. Like they come up with these HubSpot top 10 sales templates, and like honestly,
oh god, never use them. Those things are used to as soon as HubSpot publishes it, it will be spam to the nth degree. And if you use that template, your domain will get a hit because as soon as HubSpot throws it out there,
I mean, for me, my best performing emails are like ones where you would never really expect. They're so simple, so small, so short. It's just like, and also kind of quirky as well. There's no, if you ever follow a template, you're screwed. Like it can't be a template. It has to be representative of you, your personality, your brand has to exhume you. Right?
You can follow a structure. I mean, I recommend structures. Like at the end of the day, there's only so many ways you can write an email. So I think you do need to follow a structure, but a template is just you're just asking to be put in the spam folder.
I do a lot of one-to-ones, not using the like merge tags and all that for business development reasons, like partnerships and stuff. So that's why I'm a little bit more like, definitely though, if you're gonna do a blast or something, you can use a template of some sort, like a structure, not really a template, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I mean, if you actually, I know this is a random tangent again, but if you come across Harry Dry anytime recently and some of his...
marketingexamples.com, right?
So good. I've come across him in the last few weeks. Just love him. Anyone doing marketing and wants to like see what's going on, he's great. I think one he posted this week was like comparing Chanel doing a Happy Mother's Day campaign. And the bad example was 3 bottles of Chanel number 5 and just a photo of them which said Happy Mother's Day. And then he's like, actually, this is a better example. It's a kid's drawing of a Chanel bottle that says Happy Mother's Day. It's like it just hits the feels, and you're like, damn, that's so good. But he publishes a lot of like structures. Never publishes templates, but publishes a lot of structures. Really cool dude.
Did you know that how he got? I reached out to him, cold emailed him when I found out how he started in this whole marketing thing. He reached out to he got Jay-Z on the phone or something.
Sweet.
He got the whole story. It took him like 3 months. He put a billboard on New York Times. This is crazy story. Google like Harry Dry Jay-Z. It's like I read that. I'm like, oh my god, man! I was like, dude, props. This is so cool. You know, I just wanted
That's
to. Like,
awesome.
yeah. He's like, oh, thanks, man. You know, he'll probably like 2 weeks later. Yeah, it's good to build relationships and reach out to people that really impress you, because they're humans just like you, right? And like if they get an email from someone like that's really appreciative for something they've done, like they will really like you're gonna put a smile on their face and they're gonna remember you. You know, it's why not? That's networking.
Yeah, man. Networking 101. Make people happy, and at the end of the day, like this is definitely only going to stay within the community. People who are ever intimidated, because a lot of sales reps and people they talk to C-suite at like big companies.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always think is that, you know what? Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter whether it's a Fortune 500 CEO. Doesn't matter if it's Prince Harry. But he still takes a shit every morning. They're only humans. Like it's that's just the way I think about it, to bring people back to like it's just another person. Foti, man, we do have one question from the community that I know you've seen, and I know you were interested in. So I'm gonna ask it now. It's from Isaac. Shout out to Isaac, absolute weapon. Foti, what are your thoughts on solo founders versus building a business with a business partner? What do you suggest?
I think that when you bring on a business partner, you need to view it like a marriage. You're in it for the long haul. You better like that person like a lot and get along and forgive them for mistakes that they do, you know, because they will. And just accept that it will get rocky at some point, and you know, have that faith that you're gonna weather the storm. But most of the times when you're confronted with the option to bring on a co-founder, it's under situations where you don't have that faith that they're gonna be your rock forever and you know, till death do us part. So considering that, I would say err on the side of caution when bringing on business partners. And it's the same advice I give when someone asks, should I get funding? And my answer is, it depends. I mean, I go as long as you can without funding, and then if you literally cannot proceed unless you get a tranche of investments to build this next thing, which if you don't build it, you will explode and die, which chances are like that's not going to happen. Then yeah, go for it, right? But in the same case, like if you literally cannot proceed because you're on a fork on a road, and on one hand, the product does not start because you don't have Ruby on Rails experience and React front end, for example. On the other hand, well, it can go, but like I'll have to invest all my life savings and build this. That's that was literally my situation, right? Like I'm not a technical dude. Like I know Linux, but I'm not a React. Like I don't know no code. Right? I'm not a developer.
Oh, the same, man.
Yeah, so it's like can't build this. So like I either had to do the whole like, let's find a technical co-founder and make this, or bite the bullet and invest every last penny I had into paying a Ruby on Rails agency, outsourced one in Poland. Shout out to Ragnarsson. and doing it like that, right? And I was like, fuck it, man. I'm just gonna go all in. Like this is the risk I was comfortable doing. Other people aren't comfortable doing that, and they want to take the more conservative, like let's kind of split the work, you know, and I'll do the marketing, you do the tech, and then like we don't have to spend all of our money, or we don't have to quit our jobs. It's like, how invested are you in this vision? Like if you're really sold on it, then you don't really need a business partner, because there are alternatives, right? Like if you want the co-founder just for like moral support to like be there with you, you know, you can totally
give your mom a call once a week.
Yeah, right.
She will love you and love every idea you've ever made. There's your moral support.
Yeah, like there's network, you know, meet other people, go to meetups and bounce ideas, or talk to a growth mentor or someone like that.
Join a sales community.
Shameless plug. But you know what I mean? Like there's alternatives to finding a business partner, but then there are times when you really can't proceed without it because the project is just way too big, and you're competing against players who are too well entrenched, and there's no way that you can possibly compete with just you and like some freelance developer or something, right? Like for me,
Yeah.
the only reason I was able to pull off this growth mentor thing is because I'm a full stack marketer. Like I can do my own copy, my own performance marketing, my own, like I know how to do all digital marketing like across the board myself. I'm a one man team in a sense, right? But I was stressed out even like 6 months ago, and I'm still kind of like running on fumes here. Now I'm like, oh shit, if I don't bring more people on, I'm going to collapse. So like you'll get to that point, but you are much stronger than you think you are, and like you can last so much longer. So just I would say, fuck it. If you can do it by yourself and not give away any equity, like why do it?
Inspirational speaker, Mr. Foti, right there. That was great, man. I want to add one thing. Using the analogy of a marriage, if you're gonna get a business partner, make sure you have a prenup. Make sure you have, if this goes wrong, because let's be honest, I guarantee it will at some point. Every single business eventually fails.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got the prenup that says how it gets broken up at the end. Always, and you're not building that on the anticipation. No one gets a prenup on the anticipation they will get divorced. They get a prenup so that if they do, you deal with the pain while you still like each other, rather than in 3 years' time. I mean, I know someone who just went through breaking up their business, and I know both sides of it, and they're both happy, they're both good, but that was pain, man.
Yeah.
That was pain. It's not a fun experience. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to echo that one of you don't need a business partner if you do, well, then you will know. It's not just a case of I could get one. Don't get one. I'm with you there, man. Foti, dude, we're out of time, but I do want to ask just one final thing, because thank you so much for jumping on today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope everyone got a little bit of value out of this one. But if people like what they hear today, where can they find out more about you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just type Foti Pangio, and you'll find me. You can, I don't really use the Twitter that much, so I'm not going to bump that. Or you can email me at foti@growthmentor.com. And yeah, like foti@growthmentor.com or LinkedIn. I think those are the two best ways.
Too easy, man. Well, look, I will make sure that we drop both of those links in with this video. Thank you so much for jumping on today.
My pleasure.